Good afternoon, everyone. Now, as I said from my Monday episode, I've cheered up a little bit, so let's do what all good humans love to do best, and that is have a good moan. And this time, I'm going to be moaning at the National newspaper and the Guardian newspapers, who have put out articles saying, literally an hour ago, I think, that the Syrian boy who was so-called waterboarded in a waterboarding attack at Almondsbury School is seeking damages from the far-right leader. Well, far-right leader, you know who I mean, Tommy Robinson. I don't think he's far-right, but that's the article they've put out. I did slightly misinform in regards to it in the past, because it was originally just Facebook they were doing it to. But it seems now the papers have decided to put out these articles in regards to the Syrian boy who has had to move after threats were made. Now, by no means do I condone threatening anybody or putting violence on anybody. I don't care what race or religion they are. Nobody deserves that. However, I find it very funny how the National and the Guardian haven't put out articles saying all of the Muslim death threats that Bailey was getting, all the Islamic death threats and the Muslim gangs who were waiting outside Almondsbury School. Why is it only now they decide to do it when it's all died down, and rather than focus on both sides, they portray one side only? Sometimes I really get lost for words. But then this is the fake news that we have to put up with every single bloody day. But now, Jamal and his family really are trying to claim damages from Tommy Robinson for putting false claims out there. Now, Tommy Robinson says he has evidence of it. And as I've said before, I would like to see it myself, so that his claims can be vindicated, so that he can back up what he says. Because as much as I admire Tommy Robinson, admiration is not enough in the face of hard evidence. You need to be able to prove what you say. And this is not me bashing Tommy Robinson. Far from it. I want him to have the evidence needed. But obviously, I'm not the one in his shoes. If I see Tommy Robinson's stuff, then by all means, I'll have another video out saying, yep, here's the evidence. Or I'll link his video in the description below. At a later date, of course. But I don't know that. So I'm not going to say anything under false pretense. What I will say, though, which I know for a fact is true, is, as I said, the media seems to be very interested in portraying the stress and the frustrations and the hardships of Jamal and his family. This is despite the fact the family has been known to have received at least £150,000 from the British public in a GoFundMe page, while Bailey hasn't even received a fifth of that. It was about 28,000 when I checked before. Jamal, who has only had his throat grabbed at worst, has been given £150,000, which he had moved to an undisclosed community. And if we were to go off the basis of the media's recent headlines, would seem to have been moved again. And why is that? Anybody? Answers on a postcard, please. Because seriously, Jamal and his family, there are other people who would kill for less money. There are people who would kill for literally like 20 quid. Or 100 quid. Or £1,000. This kid has got 150 fucking £1,000. It's not a small amount. It's a life-changing amount. And he is trying to sue people for damages, which is shady at best. Because you've got to remember, altercations happen in schools every day. It's not like it was a violent assault like GBH or ABH on an adult person who, I don't know, maybe drunk a few pints too much at the pub or whatever. No, this is just two children having an altercation, as I said, which happen every day. Even I've gotten into altercations. Hell, I've even been punched in the face once. Do I go and complain? No. Do I say that boy needs to be locked up? No. In context, this issue has been blown out of proportions once, allowed to simmer, and then the fake news media blow it out of proportions again, in hopes that will incite the left to be outraged, or the neutral who are being brainwashed by the propaganda that those shit stains are putting out. Something in my mouth constantly getting on my nerves. Anyway, doesn't it beg the question? If he's received 150 grand, why the hell does he need to sue for more damages? If I was in Jamal's shoes right now, I'd have a big shit-eating grin on my face. I'd be like, 150 grand, what am I going to do with this? I wouldn't be able to think of all the things I could do with it, because my mind would just be like, money, 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 money. Like that song. Seriously, though, does make you ask the hard question. And as said, the left and the media have said nothing about the death threats that Bailey received. Have said nothing about the fact that Bailey and his family were forced to move. Have said nothing about the Muslim gangs that were standing outside Almondsbury School, ready to do God only knows what to Bailey. Where is the balanced news coverage? Sadly, I wish I could go to the IPSO, but you know how that ended up last time, though I am technically a third party. But it comes back to impartiality again, and the IPSO needs to do their job and actually enforce it and ensure these papers are being neutral and unbiased. But of course, we know how that turned out. It really does make my blood boil to see the fake news media outlets get away with this continual disinformation, not even misleading, just straight up disinformation or lying through omission by not acknowledging the stuff that's happening to the right, which anybody getting threatened with death or violence or whatever is wrong. It is abhorrent. But it does not give justification to only show one side of the arguments and not the other. I don't expect people to always believe me. I have people who critique me, and people will tell me if I'm incorrect. I am biased. Of course I am. It's just my opinions. And a little bit of research here and there. I don't expect everyone to just completely believe everything I say without doing their research first. Which is why I do my research for the most part. And if I make a mistake, I own up to it. But of course, truth and honesty is something the National and the Guardian do not understand. Newspapers should be used as bog roll. And as I said, I don't buy any of the newspapers because I'm not going to fund some billionaire tosspots who are more interested in putting out biased propaganda than actually getting the people in those said companies and the headline reporters to do their effing job. And get rain on their phone because it's raining so much. Jamal, this is my message directly to you. You have more than enough money for something that is, in all essence, a non-issue. You little shit, should be thankful you've even gotten half of that money, let alone 150 grand plus. And for you to play out the victim over an altercation which was a non-issue, I say shame on you. I think it's truly disgusting that people like you can take advantage of the British public and the British system. And, of course, the British media. When you might not be all that innocent yourself. Hell, Tommy even released video footage of 3 Muslim girls who were throwing water all over a white girl. That didn't get headline news. I'm not sure if Tommy also put out some evidence in regards to a group of Muslim boys beating 7 shades of shit out of another kid, a white kid. That didn't get headline news. But one boy grabbing another, a Syrian refugee, by the throat, they're all over it. Surely the media needs to understand why we're so hostile, if you can even say that. No, we're not even hostile, we're just angry at the injustice that the left wing and the left wing media are portraying this whole event as. If it were down to me, I would have said, cut the kids' funding, cut the crap, let's report some real news, and let's also report both sides of the news, rather than take one side. I think, frankly, this is just another prime example of just how corrupt and how screwed up our priorities are, and how screwed up the mainstream media is, as well as the newspapers, who I wouldn't give 5 cents to lick my boots clean. I'd sooner throw them into a pile of dog shit. In fact, a field full of them, before I give them anything. I have neither sympathy nor respect to liars and deceptive cheats and traitors who do not report the truth or refuse to be impartial. So, Guardian, National, I'm looking at you and getting drips of water on my head as I'm doing it. I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, maybe we should start filing some more IPSO complaints. Not just me, but I reckon thousands of other people. And then we'll see how you like it, how you end up getting discriminated. Only this time it'll be justified, because the British people have had enough of your lies. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts, which I don't eat for the record, that you guys would suddenly feel quite scared and quite tempted to use the victim card again the moment thousands of complaints reach the IPSO again. Take a look at what's happened to Sky, how they are the 3rd most complained about news programme, or just programme in general, in British television. 3rd highest. Surely that's got to tell you something. You're all heading down a road which leads to your... I don't want to say the word because I don't think it exists, but it would lead you down to a path which would basically lead the lot of you into an obsolete territory. Obsolescence, I was going to say. It might be a word for all I know, but hell, I've still got more to learn. But at least I'm willing to admit that. How about you apologise to Bailey for all the shit that he's gone through, and that because of the Muslim gangs who were threatening them with death threats and rape threats, throwing bricks through their windows and traumatising the family, had to move out when they were about to celebrate Christmas. Why don't you report that? Oh, that's right, because it's not your agenda, is it? Traitors. Scumbags. Liars. At least the Daily Fail hasn't decided to completely slander this whole case. Though I suspect later down the line they probably will, so I'm preparing a disclaimer in advance that if they do release something abhorrent against Tommy and Bailey, supporting Jamal for what is shady conduct, then obviously I will retract what I've said, because obviously it will stand that they've put out an article as well. I am just one of many people who are completely pissed off with the fact that you, the Guardian, and you, the National, continue to lie to us through your teeth. Kind of reminds me of that truth decay joke. Only, for you guys, it might actually be a very serious problem. I don't ask you to bend over backwards and kiss the arse of the right, because that would be being biased as well. What I do ask you to do, though, is stop treating us like a bunch of, bluntly speaking, fucking idiots. Stop treating us like a bunch of fucking idiots and do your job properly. Report both sides, not just the side and the narrative that you want. Because if you don't, we already have a real risk of a revolution coming. Parliament will be first, you could be next. Because we are not going to tolerate continued disinformation or lying of omission through your fake newspapers. One day you're going to have to broadcast the truth. And you won't like it one little bit. I can assure you of that. Because it will show the world how corrupt you really are. You may continue to put out this disinformation, but I guarantee you one day, if you don't start reporting the truth, and if you don't actually start showing both sides of the story, the only time you're going to get both sides of our story is when we start backhanding you and then slapping you across the face. Because you will have earned the ire of the British people. My name is Dabina, and I am very bad news for the fake newspapers, and of course Jamal, the lying little snake, who thinks he can manipulate more costs that he does not deserve a single penny of. Thank you all for watching.